Dads who have daughters, which was your favorite boyfriend your daughter dated, and what made him stand out? My daughter is currently living with her boyfriend, and he's the nicest guy she's ever dated. He's 5 years older than her, and works for a bank as a programmer and software analyst. He's 27, and makes slightly more than I do at 55. He studies philosophy, and wants to teach. He's unfailingly polite, and clearly adores my daughter. He stuck with her through a health crisis that lasted months. We just got back from a week in Orlando with the whole family and the boyfriend, and he was good company the whole time. He shares my terror of heights and wild roller coasters, so he and I spent some time talking, while the rest of the family rode coasters at Universal. The day we went to SeaWorld, he stayed behind, and cleaned the condo, washed dishes, and did laundry. We have decided he's definitely son-in-law material. Okay, here goes. My oldest daughter is an addict. It really took hold of her in her late teens and early 20s, and as an extra bonus the boys she took to dating downgraded from basic loser to world-class junkie loser. I met more guys that were going nowhere in the fast lane than anyone ever should. Somehow she eventually found the strength to get clean. Almost 8 years now. She got a job, went to meetings, and by some miracle, found a guy that understood who she was and helped her stay on track. They moved in together, and it was such a pleasure to see her being productive, getting herself financially ahead of things. It was so obvious how much he loved her and was invested in her. This was the guy any father dreams of his daughter finding. Then one day, out of the blue she broke up with him. Turns out she had been backsliding, not with but other than prescription meds, and the more he tried to keep her on track the more she rejected it. Anyone that's ever dealt with a junkie knows that for them, it's never their mistake and it's always someone else that doesn't get it. So I guess she finally ran out of lies and just walked away from him. It's been 3 years now, and while she hasn't slid back to full junkie, she is back to watching her life fall apart and dating losers that could give a about her. It's heartbreaking to watch. So even though my other daughters have successful lives and are married to wonderful men, that guy that's no longer in the picture is still my favorite, because for what was too brief a time, he helped bring my daughter back to me. They have never formally dated, at least she has never said anything, but his ability to persevere and do everything he can do to be around her is admirable. She lives a very active lifestyle. She runs, goes for walks, loves being outdoors, and her best friend, well, I mean, don't feel bad for him. He has struck a balance in his life, but he doesn't have full use of his legs and can't walk. Their relationship has been fun to watch as they grow together. She will bring him things. Sometimes he will try to do it on his own. He hasn't walked his whole life, so it's nothing new, but sometimes I think he acts lazy just to get her to bring him things, like Buttercup and Wesley in The Princess Bride. I swear, when she walks away you see this glint in his eye that says one day, these wretched legs of mine will tire of seeing you leave, and I will follow you anywhere. So his I won't give up attitude and his desire to have fun and be happy with my daughter have garnered my respect. Also, I love that the age difference doesn't bother him. He knows that love knows no age. She is literally twice his age. I guess it is worth pointing out that she is 14 months old and he is 7 months old. My daughter's current boyfriend. They have been together for a few years, and he seems to be turning into a good man. My daughter, while I love her more than life itself, has a bit of an attitude issue. She can be a real. Sometimes. He has a way of calming her down when she gets riled up, hence he has earned the title of the Whisperer. One time, my family and I had my daughter's boyfriend over for dinner, and he pretended that he did not know what a potato was. I came here to learn more methods on how to impress my girl's dad, only to see a bunch of people with kids below 10. People who are not dads and some guy who had a hot dog for dinner. Her current one, but they've been dating for years. He's just a quiet, hard-working guy that keeps to his own. He likes comics too, so he can't be all bad. My daughter had just turned 18 and came to me asking for help in getting birth control pills. She's had the same boyfriend since she was 14. He's a great kid who holds down a job, manages his money well, respectful and a bit shy, just an all-round decent type. Also has very strict parents. So one day I get a call that his first car has broken down on a highway nearby and he could use some help getting his car towed to the shop and a ride home. He's unusually quiet on the ride home and suddenly he speaks up and asks me if I could stop somewhere and buy him some condoms. Cue 2 minutes of dead silence and embarrassment. I pull into a Lawton's and spend a good 15 minutes looking for condoms I could only guess as appropriate and return to the car to give them to him. More blushing and awkwardness. Surprise. When we arrive at his place he earnestly asks if he could leave them in my truck. So I store them in the bin, still in that brown paper bag they came in. A month later they went missing. He's finishing college soon. She's an educator, and they are still very committed to each other. I see bouquets and babies in the future. I'm good with that. I'm the daughter in question, but it is obvious that my current Sue is my dad's favorite, and the reason why is very clear. He brought a BB-8 robot when he first met my family at my college graduation, so that he could better connect with my autistic brother. Now, whenever we visit my family, my brother will talk to him for hours about interests he usually only shares with family. Most recently, my Sue sat with him for 2 hours at a wedding reception just talking about Pokemon. He's obviously an introvert and can get overwhelmed by social situations, but at every turn he has made it clear that he cares about me and that he sees caring for and being kind to my family as a natural extension of that. Also, he's a programmer and my dad is a programmer. That helps. Not a father, nor do I have a daughter, nor do I have a little sister, but I had a hot dog for dinner. Parents, make sure you get to know the boy rather than judging him on superficial impressions. My parents loved my football player boyfriend who was gregarious and outgoing. They were chilly toward a later boyfriend who was nerdy, socially awkward and reserved. Turns out the football player talked trash about me on the school bus and tried to pressure me into before I was ready. The nerd married me, and 20 years later we have 2 beautiful children and a wonderful life together. Not father but elder brother, polite, well-mannered, well-read, makes my sister learn about things, and they do very interesting things together. He's moving away now, and I feel bad cause it's hard coming across guys like this. I'm the boyfriend that the girlfriend's family seem to want to stay in touch with, even after we're broken up. So I guess I'm the favorite. After my boyfriend met my dad for the first time, we drove him home, and on the way there we stopped at a McDonald's. Both my dad and I are coffee drinkers, and my dad likes his exceptionally sweet. I always get a bit embarrassed when others see him pouring literally 15 sachets into a small cappuccino cup, so I apologize to my boyfriend out of habit. My boyfriend responds with he needs all that sugar because he's a sweet man. Needless to say, my dad is very fond of him. One daughter. She's 7. She had a boyfriend that gave her Pokemon cards at school for free. She said she didn't like him, she just wanted cards, that's how papa raised you. Good going. The long con. Older brother here. The little sister has had 2 boyfriends that I'm aware of. The first one, who had the pleasure of screwing her up, looks like a malnourished surfer with a dash of hipster. He currently works about 15 hours a week while volunteering at open mic nights in the hopes that when they make it big, they will take me with as a sound tech. The other is a college student who is applying for real jobs and bought her flowers for her high school graduation. He got a haircut when he started applying for jobs and has had a conversation with me in regards to how I work in the professional field with my tattoos and how to cover them if need be. Nothing on face, neck, or hands. I'm cheering for dude #2 and he isn't winning. My daughter is still a teen and her boyfriends have not been serious yet. I don't have a favorite, but my least favorite is the one who was too intimidated to speak to me or my wife. And it bothered my daughter too, so it wasn't just us old parents being weird. My favorite would be the boy who genuinely loved, cared, prioritized, and respected her, was very afraid of hurting her, and made efforts to make her happy. If I count the 2 shortish teenage relationships my daughter had, she had a total of 5 relationships and the last one actually turned into an engagement recently. My personal favorite was the 4th one, but he wasn't necessarily the best boyfriend for her at the time. He's an intelligent guy, likes the same music as I do, enjoyed giving me a hand in restoring the old timer, seemed eager to learn too. He didn't know anything about cars the first time, and we generally had a good time together. So, on a personal level, he's the one I could connect with the best. More importantly, he is a very caring guy and they always seem to have a great time together doing all kinds of interesting things. However, when he got in a major depression, it was hard on my daughter. Eventually, they split up because he needed time to focus on his own life. One of his problems was that he always focused on caring for someone else instead of taking care of his own problem. They did remain friends, though. He recovered pretty well, so I thought they might give it another go, but they had both found someone else before that could happen. I still see him occasionally because my daughter is still good friends with him. The two couples actually plan activities together, so that really seems to work. I don't really have such a personal relationship with her current fiancé, but nonetheless, he's a great guy, and I'm happy they are together. Oh, by the way, the second high school guy was a douche who cheated on her after 2 months and the boyfriend of the first serious relationship was okay-ish, but, truthfully, a bit dull, which didn't work with my daughter's active lifestyle, hiking, cycling, running. The first high school boyfriend was very shy, but was always polite and nice. And, finally, for all young Reddit guys, I don't think I was an overly protective or scary dad. My approach to all the scary stuff, scary for dads, was to have, or at least try to have, an open relationship with both of my children. They learned about relationships, mutual respect, both protection and what it is / what to expect, confidentiality, and stuff like that throughout their youth from an early age. That didn't mean that I wasn't scared, but it did mean I trusted her, up to a level. I know a lot of teenagers are curious about. I know a lot of them experiment. Therefore, my first priority was safety, both emotionally and physically, not protecting her against the evils of. Isn't evil, it's quite nice when you're ready for it. So, not all dads are going to kill you if you so much as look at their daughter.